Alright guys, welcome to the channel. If I'm looking up at the wall, I made some notes because there's no way that I could remember everything that I need to remember for this video. So, sure to like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notifications because I'm a YouTuber, so I have to say that. So, in this video, and this is my first actual YouTube video that's not like a song cover, so give me a little grace here. But today we're going to look at the MIDI functionality of the Jet Pedals Revelation Reverb. So we're going to be looking at how we could integrate it with, in this particular example, the HX Stomp, and just overall a list of the functions. I do have the control change and program change messages printed off here for reference. And so yeah. I mean, pretty much, so if you need a good reverb, so I also have the Boss RV6. It's on the shelf right now, so I could do this demo. But it's also a great reverb, but I wanted a little more functionality. And really what appealed me to it was it could do the cloud thing. So most people who'll be watching this video know of a very certain reverb pedal about this big that's like 400 bucks, well, out of my price range. So I got the Revelation. Actually, it was a Christmas gift, very thankful for it. It actually gave me the reverb sound that I was wanting, that was in my head. So, and I know that sounds cliche, but it finally gave me the sound I was wanting. I did have a little issues in the beginning with it with digital clipping, but I think that was your user error. I'll never know for sure. But essentially, it's a great reverb. You got 6 accessible presets, and then like several more with MIDI, over 100 more with MIDI. And so we'll look at that a little bit. Couple disclaimers. First of all, I do not have a actual MIDI controller. So I don't have like a PVC6X, I don't have an MC6 Pro. I would like to get an MC6 Pro at some point, but right now, at this particular time, that's not a concern. I was checking my light. However, I do have the HX Stomp, which has Command Center, and it's an HX Stomp XL, so it's really going to work well for this demo and this walkthrough. And then also, second disclaimer, not affiliated at all with Jet Pedals, at all. They don't know who I am. Maybe they will after this video. You never know. So, that's in Lord's hand. It's not in mine. So, essentially, and then I have HX Edit up here on the screen. So, in this preset, there we go. So, this preset, it's really basic. It's literally called Revelation Demo. And then I have a couple other versions of it. And that's how we'll walk through everything. So we have an amp and cab. It's just the Cali, Texas channel 1. I was just messing with it to mess with this pedal, and I really like the way it sounds. Because this is mostly worship music that we talk about on this channel. We've got a dotted 1/8 note delay. And this is from the Worship Tutorials free effects pack. So be sure to check that pack out. It's really good. And then I have the effects loop, which has the Revelation in it. It's stereo. We'll turn the trails on because we're doing trails. And then we're going to move to the Command Center window. And so for this first preset that I have, it's it's literally just built to demo the Revelation. I would not use this in a live setting unless all I needed was a reverb pedal. So there's a couple different functions that we're going to look at. So what Jet did with this function in particular, it's called snapshot capture. That's what I labeled it as. And so it's a CC message of 28, and we'll get into the different MIDI messages in a minute, and a value of 12. And it allows you, that's how you save presets on it, like the MIDI presets, and it's really, really cool. Then we have a program change, so it's going to recall whatever preset. The presets correspond directly to their program change numbers. We'll get again into that in a minute. And then I have the infinite bloom feature programmed to a switch. It's momentary, so it's just like on the pedal. This is the preset switch, so it just turns the preset button on and off. This turns the verb on and off. And then this one is kill dry mode, which is pretty cool. And then, so now we're gonna scoot this back aside. I do have a couple other presets. So I have the Revelation all-in-one, and that's gonna be, we may build this preset in the video, but it's gonna be like how I would use this pedal with the HX Stomp as an all-in-one rig. Because, I mean, HX Stomp, it has great reverbs. I love Dynamic Hall, love the glitz. I mean, what else have we got here? We've got Double Tank, Plateau, Searchlight, Ganymede, Glitz, Nonlinear, Hot Spring, Shimmer, Dynamic Bloom, Dynamic Ambience, Room, Plate, and Hall. And then you have all the legacy verbs, particle verbs, Spring, 63 Spring. They're all great verbs. They are DSP heavy. They can't, like, some of them can be very DSP heavy, and with my Stomp, I like to be very DSP sensitive and utilize my other pedals. And also, it does the cloud thing, which is what I wanted it to do. I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm not going to say that I just came up like, well, this is what I wanted. I wanted the Big Sky sound, and something that wasn't a Big Sky, and something that would fit my pedal board a lot better, because I only have one pedal board and one case, so I don't really want to have to get a new case and a new pedal board just so I can have the Big Sky. But we'll also assign like MIDI messages to these foot switches here for that. And then, so then we have Revelation CC, and so these are going to be like sending like individual CC messages. This is going to be demonstrating how to like do knobs and stuff like that, and it's going to be very drastic changes. Like, that's the way that I'm going to demo it, because I can explain this later. I really don't like using this particular function with this particular pedal, and I'll explain why in a minute. Then I have one more preset called Revelation Snapshots, and so that's essentially, we're going to be, it's actually two different presets. One of them is going to just be recalling presets with PC numbers, and the other one is going to be changing those CC functions. So before we go on, I think it's important to note, if you're new to MIDI, I mean, I'm still very new to it. I'm still learning this pedal, and I'm still learning the ins and outs of it, or whatever. If you're new to MIDI, so I think it stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface or something like that. So essentially, it's just a message. So your two basic message types, you have PC and CC. So PC message is called a program change, and that, when you think PC, think presets. So if I sent a Stomp a PC message, it would like bring up a new preset, go from 12A to 12B or something like that. On the other hand, a CC message is a control change, so that's changing the individual parameters or performing specific functions on the pedal, like turning the pedal on and off. It's really cool. So on this preset Revelation Snap CC, we're going to pull up Command Center, and all these instant commands, I believe these can be assigned per snapshot, and we'll find out if it's not. But if these can be assigned per snapshot, we'll be able to assign them to a snapshot, and then we can adjust our verb settings via there. Now, I would probably never use that live, and once again, I'll explain why in a minute. Or actually, I'm going to explain it why now, because that's the part of the video we're in. So basically, the way it works, you have with CC numbers or CC messages. So we'll pull it up on the Stomp, MIDI CC. So you have a CC number. So that is like determines what function. So like, for instance, if I had a generic Nate G-tone MIDI pedal, MIDI control pedal. So if I wanted to turn the pedal off, that would be a CC number. If I wanted to turn the pedal, I'm trying to think. If I wanted to turn the mix knob up, like if it was a reverb or something, that's another CC value or CC number. The value of the CC number is how it interacts with the pedal and what it does. So if I have a CC number, for instance, if I have a CC number of 23, the function is turning the pedal on and off. But the value and the way that that works is, any value, and it goes from 0 to 127 in the value spectrum. So if I send it a message of 0 to 63 with a CC number of 23, that will turn the pedal on. But if I do 64 to 127, it turns the pedal off. So actually in this it's reversed. So 0 to 63 will turn the switch on, or turn the switch. 0 to 63 turns the bypass switch off. 64 to 127 turns the bypass switch on. So too long, didn't read. The value performs the function, and the CC number tells what the function is going to be. Really basic once you wrap your head around it. So, with that being said, I think that's so far all we need to know, and now we can begin the demo. So once again, I didn't save this preset. I'm just gonna insert this, the delay again. Favorites, love the favorites feature, and we're just gonna do dotted 8 vintage digital, and it's assigned to a foot switch. I don't want that. I'm just gonna turn it on and off via my computer. So we'll go to edit, and we can just hit spacebar, and that will do that. And then real quick, so the way I'm recording this, so this is just like stock iPhone microphone audio, but for the guitar I have a USB cable connected to my HX Stomp, and we're running into Luna, UA Luna, and it's recording in here. And it's not really recording anything now because I haven't started, and I just have, so this new click is just for aligning frequency or aligning waveforms and stuff like that in post. But in guitar, it's stereo, so we'll get that glorious stereo sound. I love stereo. And so essentially what we're gonna do is just like start playing with it and recording with it. So my guitar is my PRS SE Custom 24. I think it's a 2015 model. It has the HFS treble and the vintage bass pickups in it. And it's my go-to guitar currently. So we'll see if that ever changes. This is actually, of the guitars I have, this is the only one that I don't want to upgrade. I have a Gretsch back there on the wall. I'd like to put some pickups in it. Yes, probably Lambertones, because they're just good pickups. Either that, I'm pretty settled on the Lambertones, either that or the TV Jones Classics or Powertron, something like that. I think I want to go with the Lambertones though. And yeah, so I'm gonna get the camera switched around so we can see the pedal board, and then we're going to get this demo started. Alright, so we're ready to go here. So I've got my HX Stomp XL, again set up with that Revelation demo preset, and we'll walk through that. Yes, my pedal board is very much a mess right now because I wanted to do this demo in my MIDI, or my effects loop cable, so I could record, so I could record the Revelation record with the Revelation and Luna. It wasn't long enough to keep it in my original position, because traditionally I run my Revelation after my HX Stomp, and I have a Tonex pedal for my amps. So I really just kind of moved stuff around so that I could make this demo. But again, so this is just like our clean sound. It's literally just an amp, not even a compressor. Sounding. This is bridge pickup. This is neck. This is middle. Alright, so first things first is, and I'll have HX Edit up here on the screen, and I'm going to reopen the Command Center window. Or Command Center. Well, I can't really open it. So the first message that we have, or the first basic function, so we have our verb on and off. So I can turn the pedal on and off with my foot here, as you can see, but it's really cool, especially if you're like me and you have big feet, you could just turn it on here. And so what that is, it's really basic. It's literally a CC number of 23, and it's a latching foot switch. And in Command Center, they have this thing called a CC toggle. So it has a diminished value and a or a dim value and a lit value. So when the light is dim, it's off, and when it's lit, it is on. That's how I have it set up. So, hear that? Hear that lovely reverb. Okay, and so then the next function is, it's again really basic. It's another CC toggle, and it's a number of 24, the same values though, minimum and maximum values, and it just turns the preset on. And this is my swells preset. So if I'm playing live, I'll have these settings on the pedal right here, and it'll be live mode, and then I'll use preset for my swells. Back to our regular reverb setting. Okay, so then another cool feature of this pedal is kill dry. Again, it's the same latching or CC toggle, and it's a oh, and I need to know, I set the MIDI channel to this pedal to MIDI channel 1, and I'll show you how to change that before the end of the video. But it's important to note there are 16 MIDI channels, and each one is if you want to control a bunch of different devices, but you don't all want them to respond to the same message. For instance, if I had like a Jet Pedals Eternity and I wanted to just turn on the Revelation, but if they were set to the same MIDI channel, they likely have the same programming, so that they have the same CC numbers to perform the same functions. So, but when you set it to a different channel, you can send the same messages to separate pedals, and it'll only affect the pedals that you send it to. It's really cool how they made that. So, but another feature of this pedal, and I guess you could kind of call this a demo, is the kill dry mode. And so we have this right here. Turn this on. It's just reverb. Turn our preset on. It's even more. Oh, and so an important note with this pedal, when the bypass light is blinking, it indicates that it's in what Jet Pedals calls a graceful transition state, to when it's gradually taking the decay time to where it was originally. So like if you had a preset with the same decay time, that's not an issue. But the key with this pedal is, if like I have my swells preset, I have the decay cranked. Well, when I go back to my just always on reverb preset, it enters this graceful decay state to where it's slowly ramping down the decay, and that's indicated by the bypass light blinking. So what that means is you cannot turn the pedal off when it is in that bypass state. You have to let it finish before you can turn the pedal off. So that's very important to know. And then another cool feature that I've actually kind of like with this is called the infinite bloom. I don't use it that often, but when you're just using the pedal, I'm trying to get this USB cable kind of out of the way. So when you have this pedal, when you hold the preset switch down, it'll start blinking, and it's ramping the decay up to max. Excuse me. So this is a momentary foot switch, and you can see it here in HX Edit. It's momentary. It's the same principle, just a CC number of 30. And it's momentary, so you hold it. Then, or well, it didn't. And it just goes on for as long as you hold this switch. I think I let off. I hope I did, unless I misunderstood something. And it's still going. Still going. So, yeah. So, and then I'll show you how you access the MIDI presets. So, literally all you do is well, first I need to explain this MIDI snapshot feature. So this is where it gets really cool. So first off, let's do a let's see here. What would be a good preset to demo this with? So we have several algorithms. How about like a shimmer? So literally all we need to do is just turn this up to here, and now we're on our shimmer algorithm. So I want more shimmer in that, so. Turn down the decay just a little. So that sounds pretty good. So now what we're going to do with this snapshot capture is it's a CC number of 28 with a value of 12. So essentially what you do, so the direction or the manual says CC number 28, any value between 7 and 27 activates CC snapshot mode. This takes a snapshot of your current settings and stores it in permanent memory at the appropriate preset location. An example would be to send CC number 28 value 7. This stores a preset in the 7th slot and can be recalled anytime by sending PC number 7. So I have this, I want to save this to preset slot 12. So, and these are so after you get through the 6 presets that are on the pedal, the rest of the presets can only be accessed via MIDI. So with oh, that's bypass. So with snapshot capture, we have this preset dialed in, and this is how probably I'm going to end up using this pedal the most, especially if I'm just like making incremental changes or programming song presets. Like I said, I'd love to get an MC6 Pro someday along with the Eternity. So sounds pretty good. I'm not looking for perfection here since this is just a demo. But so we send the snapshot capture, it blinks green. Okay. That preset is now saved to memory. And so an example of this is we're going to change back our algorithm. So there's anti-shimmer, I think that's spring, room, plate, modulate. So we're going to go back to our settings. So, and now, and you'll see here up on it, excuse me, on HX Edit, we have Command Center up. And so the bank stuff, I don't really understand exactly what this means in the HX Stomp specifically, but really we don't need to worry about it. We just need to worry about the program change. So again, program, think preset. So I saved it to the 12th slot because if you look back here, I sent a value of 12. And so the program change 12 is going to recall that. And I labeled it as preset 2 on the HX Stomp. So now, now have our shimmer preset. You can do this again. I have, if you go on the Jet website, they have like a picture of the effect settings for they call an anti-shimmer synth wash. And so that I saved it to the 10th preset. Okay, and so it just cut all of a sudden because I turned preset mode off and it changed algorithms. So now we're back home. But however, so that's important to note. So I have, goodness gracious. So now, obviously the verb is off. So, if I have the blue preset mode engaged, and so the pedal's on and so it's important to note when you send the same value, like for instance, you're sending the 0 or the 127 value to turn the pedal on. I think that's what it is. Yeah, when you're sending the 127 value to turn the pedal on, if you send that again, nothing changes. But when you turn it off, then it turns the pedal off. When you send the 0, and I think so. That's funny. So what I think is happening here is when you have the preset on and you have the verb, like the verb button on, so the pedal is on both via MIDI and via the pedal itself. But when you turn that off, so we have that Indie Shimmer Synth Wash, but unless you are switching algorithms with the pedal on, the trails will remain. Because, for instance, if I have the pedal on, right, and there's my preset, but if I go here, see, in that case, it turned the trails off because you're switching algorithms. But I think that only applies when you're changing on the pedal, like when the pedal is on and you're changing algorithms. Because I have, like right here, right? Oh, but see, it changed algorithms. So it was weird. I don't know why I didn't do that before. But anyway, just know that I always expect it to change algorithms. And like I said, I'm still learning this pedal, so this is somewhat a MIDI tutorial, somewhat a deep dive. I just really wanted to make this video. So we're just going to have a good time. See, I changed algorithms. And now we're just back to the preset. Okay, so that's pretty much it for all the basic features. So again, this preset button in the top corner here, the purple guy, that is literally, you're recalling whatever preset. So if you want to recall preset 127, you send it a number 127. If you want to call preset 50, you send it a PC number of 50. So it's really basic that way. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Revelation Snap Mode. I've never tried this. Or actually, Revelation CC. We're going to start there. So I have Command Center up again. And I'm going to do it like this so that way I don't have to lose Command Center. So the thing that I don't like with this pedal in particular and how I want to utilize it is sending a CC value. Like there's no indication on the pedal itself where the knob is turned. For instance, when you send a PC or a CC message, the knob does not physically turn. So now the instructions do say 0 is the equivalent of having the knob turn completely counterclockwise, and 127 is like having to turn completely clockwise. So if you send a value of 127, then it'll have, like, the mix knob will be all the way up. And like if you have it at 64, it's equivalent to having the knob straight up at noon. Okay, but I want to play guitar. I don't want to do math. So I will most always use the CC snapshot feature. But just for the sake of showing you guys how to use the CC, so it's on HX Edit again. So we're gonna put this as green. So a CC value. So I'm gonna turn the mix and decay off. All right. And I want to recall the plate algorithm. So it says CC number 27. So a number of 27 is the algorithm designation. And we want to activate the plate. So we need to send it any value between 45 and 46. So where are we going to land? Or no, 45 and 66, excuse me. So we'll go 50. So we're going to call this plate. Or let me put it in caps. Plate. Then we go back to the next switch. We're going to add another CC. And just so you can hear the drastic changes, and I'm not going to get too deep into this because I think we'll be able to explain it pretty good. We're going to call this mix, not kicks, mix, and a CC number of 19. And it's also really cool. Everything on this pedal is MIDI controllable, every function. Just always keep in mind, changing algorithms, there's going to be a cut in your trails, and changing pre-delay. So from 0 to 50 to 100 milliseconds, it's going to change. So we want to send it a value of 127, because right now, so the pedal's on, but there's nothing, you can't hear anything. And then we're going to call this button decay. Another MIDI CC, decay, we'll put it light orange, just because that's what it landed on. The decay knob is a CC number of 20. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you real fast to demonstrate this. So when I hit the plate button, you're going to see the decay knob or the red light turn yellow, I believe it is. That's the color. So again, we're completely dry because everything is turned down. So we're going to send plate, turned yellow, mix is all the way up, decay is all the way up. And just like that. That's how you would utilize a CC, but like we can send it a PC message, for example. Banker program is what it's called. We're gonna go back to 2. So that's my preset. So that's the way that I would utilize this pedal. If I had a smart MIDI controller, or like a MC6 Pro, I might set it up like a Helix Snapshots or something, or the HX Snapshots, and have those individual changes, because an MC6 Pro has 32 messages per button press. You can assign up to 32 messages per switch. So I could see myself doing that. However, I think what I'll end up doing, just because it's easier and I can see my settings on the pedal, is, excuse me one more time, is just use the CC snapshot feature to save the preset and then recall it. So we're done with this preset. So we don't need it anymore, so say goodbye. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to use this with the Revelation in snapshot mode. Let me make sure the camera. Yep, we're still rolling. Sorry if I've moved the pedal board a little bit. So now we're going to use this in snapshot mode. So really all we're going to do is we're going to pull up the command center window for this preset. And I think these instant commands is on snapshot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build just a very basic preset. So I'm gonna have a drive on. I'm gonna put my favorites. Let's see. We're gonna go Nate's KOT. Let me turn the pedal off so you can just hear the. So it's just a KOT, or actually the heir apparent, so one side of the King of Tone in the HX stuff. And then we're going to put a delay in. Or actually, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to put a delay and a modulation. So we're going to go to favorites. I dialed in a couple presets. I'm working on some presets I might be considering, if the Lord wills it, to put up for sale. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I've made this, so we're going to call it the tape preset delay. And then one of my favorite modulations, I love the modulations in here, we're going to call it, we're going to put in my chorus settings. So, and now we're all going to do this with snapshots. So actually, I'm going to get out of forgive me if my head's in the way. We're going to hit these switches. Now we're in snapshot mode. So we're going to name one snapshot clean. We're going to name another one. I'm just naming at this point, not adjusting. Drive. Swells, because we're Christian guitar players. And mod clean. So here's what I want. So in the clean preset, I just want the delay and the reverb on. So, and now I've never tried this, so we'll see if it works. The first instant command is going to be a program change, and I'm going to send it a program of 2, because that's my always on preset reverb, and it's actually on 2 right now. And we're going to set another instant command of the MIDI CC, and it's going to be to turn the pedal on. So we're going to need any value between 0 and 63. Oh, and a CC number of 23. So I'm going to give it 127. Let's just make sure the pedal is on. And so then we're going to change snapshots. We're going to go drive. Again, I've not tried this, so we're going to see if it works. And we're going to go command center, and I'm going to put in a message of, I want to leave it on that reverb, but we need, and the key is like with these snapshots, you got to send it the same one. So actually bank program, got to send it the same one, so that way when you go to that preset, it'll always choose the preset you want, and not like if I have it on the ambient setting. And then we're going to go swells, and I'm going to use that anti-shimmer synth wash. Oops, wrong button. And that's in slot 10. So it's important when you're doing these snapshots like this, if this works, anytime I select any of the snapshots, I want it to choose the right delay or the right algorithm. So if I'm on swells and go to drive, I want it to switch back to my always on. But if I go from, and the same thing if I go from swells to clean or swells to mod clean, because I'm only really using 2 presets. However, you got to make sure that the messages are always firing to turn on the preset you want when you want it, because it's not going to automatically go back to that preset that you want to go back on unless you send it a message. So, case in point is, if I'm on my swells snapshot and I have that anti-shimmer synth wash, if I didn't send a message from the clean preset, and in fact, just to save room here, I'm going to turn the MIDI CC off. Oh, that's so convenient. So I'm going to turn the MIDI CC off just because I think that's a wasted message. Because really, like, the pedal's always going to be on. I just want to change the preset. But, excuse me. So clean, we have program 2. Drive. Let's see, just so we can change it. On snapshot 2 and drive, and see this is working exactly like I want to. I don't even have to assign all these different messages. I just have to assign it per snapshot. So for the clean setting, so I have program 2. And then for the swell snapshot, I send program 10. And again, I think that I explained it properly, but just one more time in case I didn't. If I didn't send a message from each snapshot, it wouldn't recall the delay or the reverb preset I wanted. So that's really all I meant. If you got anything from my babbling there. Again, still new to YouTube game. I'll get better at scripts and all that, so that way I'm not just going straight off the cuff. And so for snapshot 3, or snapshot 2 technically, drive, I want a program, just to change it up, I have a spring reverb. I think that's on preset 11. And then mod clean, we're going to put it on preset. We're going to put it back on preset 2. So, swells, it's 10, preset 10, preset 11 for drive, and preset 2 for clean. So that's very basic, right? And then we're going to go here. So on clean, there's that. On mod clean, I want the distortion off, but I want that on, or the chorus on. Swells, I want to leave the chorus on because I think that just adds some cool stereo dimension. So that's all off. So we're looking good here. So now let's see if it worked. So our reverb's on. So now in theory, now, I bet there'll be a preset cut here. Maybe not. Yeah, there's a preset cut. In fact, we can just turn that delay off. Mod clean. So this is again a really basic overview of the programming, but this could be a way that you could utilize this. And so now what we're going to do, we're going to get a little more technical with it. So we're going to use the same preset and we're going to clear all the messages. So we're going to go back in Command Center because it X'd out for some reason. And so we're going to go to Snapshot 1. We're going to go to Clean. We're going to turn the pedal. Oh. And see, this is a really cool feature of this pedal, is when the lights will blink. So on the filter and control knob, the preset and bypass knobs, respectively, they will blink. If you're in preset mode, they will blink to show until you're back into your preset settings. So this is where the preset was set at, but if I turn it, it blinks. And it's really helpful for recreating your sounds. And then it's the same thing like with this these knobs up here, they themselves blink. So the final thing that I'm going to show you in this video, as far as like just how the Revelation works, is we're going to go to that clean preset. We're going to send a MIDI CC, and so we have all these different these simultaneous messages we can send. We just can't send simultaneous messages within one instant message, and you'll see what I mean. But so again, so we're just gonna go straight up the middle. So the preset's on, or the pedal is on. We're gonna turn preset mode off. So mix and decay knob, like that's literally all we're gonna change. So this is gonna be mix knob. So we're gonna send it a number of 19, and we're just gonna put everything straight up the middle or all the way on. So we're going to send it a value in clean of 64. And then we're going to do another message with a number of 20, so that way we're dealing with the decay knob. So, and this is a really easy way that you could integrate this into your rig. Just make sure the camera's still rolling, because you know iPhones, they can be temperamental. We're going to send in a message of 20 and another value of like 64. But when we go to our swells preset, we're going to send it the same CC value, so 20, but we're going to put the value all the way up. So we're going to go to this message, we're going to put the CC of 19, we're going to go all the way up. So, in theory, so it just sent that those messages. So now So this is like a way, if you don't switch algorithms, I could see myself using it this way, especially with the Stomp if I used it as an all-in-one rig, because the CC messages, so we have up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual instant messages that can each be subdivided into 4 messages per snapshot. I think that's awesome. So we're on our swell sound, so I literally just made the knob, the mix and decay knobs go all the way up. But if we go back here, it turns them back down just to our regular lead sound, and I think that's really cool. Alright, so that's essentially the basics of MIDI with this pedal. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a template, and we're going to look at this mostly on HX Edit. I call it Revelation AIO for all-in-one. So we're good. This is going to be like a more fully featured preset, and this is like how I would use it. So we're going to put in our just literally my favorite effects, and we might change. I'm probably going to change the amp to one of my preset amps because that's probably how I would sell it. This Cali, Texas is really great. I just want to change it up. So the Vintage Digital dotted eighth. We're gonna go move this like right here. So I just made a basic compressor setting, and all the presets that I may want to release, the Lord wills it, they are currently being demoed by professionals. So yeah, or people that are much smarter than me on doing this. So we're going to do like the John Mayer thing. So we've got his tube screamer and a clon, and we're going to we'll put in 2 modulations. Well, no, one modulation. We'll put a stereo tremolo. I love stereo tremolo, especially in headphones when it like kind of goes back and forth if you have the spread really wide. It's just tremolo auto pan. So we're going to go back. So this is how I would end up using it. So what we're going to do in Command Center is I want the top 2 switches. So foot switch 1 is going to be verb on and off. So that's literally it. So we're going to send a CC toggle, and on and off is any value between 0 and 63 for CC number 23. So CC number 23, 0, 1, 27. Okay, so this is going to be, we're going to label it verb, and we're going to put the color as dark orange. I need to relabel it verb. And then we're going to go here, and we're going to call another CC toggle, and we're going to call this ambi for ambient. And it's also going to be dark orange, and it's going to be a CC. This is literally just going to turn the preset switch on and off. Like, this is if I wanted to use it with MIDI. This is like the most basic way that I would use this, and for the sake of video length, I'm not really going to go into all the different ways that I could use this, but we're going to turn the preset switch off, and we're going to turn the preset switch on. So CC number 24. All right, one more time, making sure we're still rolling, and we are, which that's good. So then I have my delay labeled. We're just going to call it delay. I have my modulation. We're going to call this trim. It's on foot switch 4. So then we're going to go here. We're going to change the clon to foot switch 5. Call it clon, because that's what it is. And then we're going to call this 808 and not the drum machine. So this is like if I'm using it in a pedal board fashion, and I'm going to switch my preset. So that's a double switch press. It's easiest to take your 2 fingers, press the 2 switches at the same time, or if you have like a big boot. Make sure that it's still in frame. All right. So I have this preset, and essentially I'm just setting it up to run like I generally have it. So it might be a little different, but so right now we're dry. Oh, I forgot to change amps. So I have a lot of different amps that I dialed in for those presets. Actually, one of my favorites that I didn't know I would actually like is the Bassman. It breaks up really well, but at the same time, it's very, it can be very clean. And it just sounds so great. I love the sound of this Bassman. So, we have our 808, our Klon, have them both. Trim. See if I can. Only the elite will know that song. And so, now we just have our verb. Then we have our ambient, which just turns the preset switch on. Just like that. Got our delay. So now here's our, like, you know, the thing. So for the last part of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to access global settings on the Revelation and how you would navigate all the global settings. And it was really important because I referenced in the video, or earlier in this video, that the MIDI channel, setting your MIDI channel is important. And just so I can go ahead and get this out of the way, the reason the pedal board is different and looks different is because I realized in post that I did not like the way that the footage had turned out for this section of the video, so I just opted to refilm it. So, like, you know, the footage that I was going to use for this section of the video, it just didn't turn out good. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. So we're just literally going to redo it, and I think this is a much better setup, so just keep your eyes on the Revelation. And so entering global settings is really basic. So trying to keep my head out of frame here. So literally all you do is you hold down the bypass button while applying power. So in this case, turning the pedal on. Oh, there it goes. So we need to unplug it. Well, actually, we just do that. That power strip can be finicky. Alright, so we apply power, we hold it, and when it goes to white, you know you're in global settings, because it'll slowly blink between no lights and white lights on the mix and decay knobs. Excuse me, and that will determine whether or not you're in global settings or if the pedal just continues to boot up. So, with that being said, the basic functions that we need to look at is you'll notice that on the bottom, the bypass and preset foot switches are blinking. So the bypass knob is your MIDI channel. And so there's 16 MIDI channels, and how you change the MIDI channel is when you're in global settings, you turn the control knob. And so there's one thing that's kind of hard to deal with this pedal, and every time you go, there's like no saving global settings. They're called global settings for a reason, you know. So every time you go to global settings, you have to make sure that it's set up exactly like you want it. So for instance, I'll get to the mix and decay knob in a minute and explain that in a little further. But anyway, so there's 16 MIDI channels, and so it's controlled by the Control 1 knob. So what you do is, right now we're on MIDI channel 1, and if you notice, it just blinks one time, and then there's a break. That indicates what MIDI channel you're on. So if I turned it all the way up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then it goes off, and then it repeats. So now it's set to MIDI channel 16. So it's really that basic. You just dial the knob. And this, I can get how this could be a little tricky. But, I mean, I'm assuming if you put it straight up the middle. 1, 2... Wait. 1... Huh. That's weird. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 11. So now we're on MIDI channel 11. So I guess I didn't have it set in the right spot. Maybe it got hung up or something. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we're on MIDI channel 6. So really, all you have to do is just turn that till you get the right number of blinks. I like MIDI channel 1. Because that's really the only thing, like that's the only other MIDI pedal that I have other than my Tone X and my HX Stomp, and it's a lot easier to change the MIDI channels on those. So if I get an Eternity at some point, which I would like to do, I may just set it to like MIDI channel 2. And then also, I don't know, I did make some references in the earlier part of this video that I would like an MC6 Pro by Morningstar. I'm actually trying to objectively compare it to a Jet Pedals Unity 6. And if the Unity 6 can do what I wanted, and if it's reliable enough, I might just do the Unity 6. They have some pretty cool deals going on right now. But anyway, I don't need a MIDI controller. It's just something that I'd like to do because I'm not going to hide from it. I like playing with pedals. So, and now, so the preset switch, that blinking, blinking on the preset switch, that is indicating how many presets you are allowed to cycle through on the pedal. So without using MIDI, you can cycle through 6 presets. Well, if you don't want to cycle through 6 presets, you can adjust it down to 1 preset, you can adjust it down to 2 presets. I keep it on 3, and like I said in the early part of this video, the big, bigger, and biggest verb. And I really only use the bigger and biggest, so in theory I could only need 2 presets, but there's no way to determine which 2 presets. Like, you can't choose like preset 2, 5, and 6. It has to be the only presets. If you choose 3 presets, it's going to be presets 1, 2, and 3. And if 4 presets, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so forth. Which is not a big deal. So just remember, like, whatever. So if you only want 1 preset, make sure that your preset is the one you want. And even if the preset was something different originally, be sure to change the settings over to what you want. And so now, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's on the presets that I want. So there are 3 custom mix tapers, which is when your dry signal starts to be removed. And I thought I had some issues with this pedal in the beginning, where it would seem to, anytime I threw on an overdrive, it would begin to digitally clip. Like, it really sounded bad, and it honestly really made me mad because this was a brand new pedal and no one had told me of that. And I had seen it on some YouTube videos, and I don't know if it was some YouTube demos by Jet. I don't know if it was just their audio equipment was clipping or or if it was the pedal itself. So I did have a little bit of concern. However, I don't think it really does that anymore. The only time I ever notice it doing it is when like I just have like an insane amount of reverb and an insane amount of drive, and it'll sometimes clip my headrush cabinet. But I think it did. I think the headrush cabinet did that before I got the Revelation. But either way, so you I just like I don't want my dry signal to be removed until the knob is all the way up. So I use mix taper 1, and so that's the millisecond or the pre-delay switch in the up position. And then, so now we have our mix and decay. So the decay knob controls what algorithm you want when the pedal boots up and turns on for the first time, and not like the first time. Whenever you just turn it on after it's been off. So see, you have all your algorithms. So there's spring, there's room, there's plate, there's modulate, shimmer, and anti-shimmer. I use modulate the most. So I want it to boot up with the modulate algorithm. And this controls what preset it boots up on. And this is really handy. Because like I said, I use that bigger and biggest verb. I use the bigger verb always on, and I use the biggest verb as my preset. Well, I know that the biggest verb preset is the yellow preset. So whenever my pedal is on and I'm playing live, that's what the pedal looks like, and it's really simple that way, and it's really I really like what they've done with this, and it helps you manage your presets and not get stressed out. So either way, and then to exit global settings, we just hold the bypass switch, and when the lights go off, it'll start blinking like it's doing now between the preset and bypass switch, and it'll boot up the pedal. And then I'm going to go ahead. So this is my big, what I call my big verb. We're going to engage preset. We're gonna adjust these to where they originally would be. So the modulation on this one's kind of low. The filters, it's below noon. Decay's about straight up the middle, just a slightly more than straight up the middle. And mix is probably about, I'd say, 1130. So that's my bigger big verb, and then this is my bigger verb. This is kind of like my always on, so it's just an increase. Oh, I turned on the preset switch. And then remember, the preset, obviously, the saved preset will only tell you if your parameters are off if the preset is engaged. Like the lights will only start to blink and tell you where your knobs were if the preset is off. And it's also important, pre-delay is global. You cannot save it per preset, even if you could. No. Actually, no. You can save it per preset. I'm sorry. Yes, you can save global, or you can save pre-delay per preset, but it cuts your trails. So I leave it on 50 milliseconds because it gives my notes some bloom. And see, the knobs are blinking. And if I turn off preset mode, then, well, that was just putting the decay knob back. But if I turn off preset mode, we're in live mode, so the preset isn't activated. So, but when I activate this, and then I bump the knobs, they're going to start to blink to show me where they originally were saved when I save this preset. So again, I leave my pre-delay set at 50 milliseconds because it gives me the bloom that I want after my initial attack. But it also is very present, because generally, like on my RV6, there isn't even a pre-delay setting, so I'm used to just it being there. So I can use it either way, but however, I just found that 50 milliseconds was a good happy medium. Obviously, happy medium because it's literally right between 0 and 100. And like I said, I'm not against changing it. I'm not against changing it up depending on my needs. But like I said, and just to clarify, if it wasn't clear earlier, you can save pre-delay per preset. I can have 50 milliseconds on one preset and 100 milliseconds on the other, and 0 milliseconds on the one before. It'll all work, but it cuts your trails off, and that really doesn't bother me. I just leave it set at 50 milliseconds and it does what I need it to do. So this is my bigger verb. Okay. The modulation on this one's pretty intense. And there it is. Now, I'm waiting to get a proper audio interface. So any of the recordings I make, I always use my HX Stomp. I want to get an audio interface so I can record my whole signal chain for song covers. So that's when I'm really going to start to dig into this pedal and like really start dialing in my sounds, is when I can get some like headphones on it or some decent studio monitors. I mean, my headrush is good, but it's not stereo. So that way I can really begin to get a sense of just how like that really tweaking the reverb, the filter and modulation and all those various things, the amount of shimmer in any shimmer presets I save, blah blah blah. And so yeah, I'm waiting to get an audio interface for that. But another important feature here, or to finish up the discussion on the Revelation, I think it's a great solution, especially if you're like me and don't want to spend $400 or more on a Big Sky just for one algorithm. Now, the Big Sky has a ton of other algorithms, and I'm sure I would have used them, but I'm just saying, for what I want and for what I need, I want to do the cloud thing, the praise and worship thing. Excuse me. Allergy season is coming. It's rough. But that's what I want it to do. Like I said in the early part of the video, it gave me the sound that I wanted. And we'll go ahead and switch to our, I know my shadow's kind of being temperamental. So now we're in live mode. So this is the settings that are on the pedal is what is going to show. The settings on the pedal right now is what's going to be heard. Like the preset is not going to be heard, even though the for instance, I'm switching presets. So now I'm on my biggest verb, my swells verb. So if the pedal's in live mode, so whatever is on the knobs is what's being heard. But when I engage this preset, now the preset is being heard, and it doesn't blink until you start to move the knobs. So as long as you don't move the knobs, you're really good. And that way it's not annoying and it won't blink. Because like I said, you want to have your this is so cool how they design this. You want to have your preset ready for your second reverb sound. That's how I use it. That's what I think is great about it. And then the bypass knob is going in that graceful transition state, or the bypass switch, and it's indicating that the decay knob is slowly ramping down to its original safe position. And for instance, let's just turn on the preset. So that's where on my biggest verb, that's where my decay is set. And on my other verb, it's set about right here. And see, it's going in that graceful transition state, so you could literally imagine the knob moving. But anyway, overall, I had a blast making this video. I hope, like I said in the earlier part, you'll subscribe. Be sure to turn on your notifications and share it. Yeah, that's about all I have for this video. So again, thanks for watching and God bless.